Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Basketball After the Game. Tonight, joined by our great friend Brian Evans, former Hoosier, former NBA player, co-owner of Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic in Indianapolis, with other former Hoosiers, Dr. Steve Green. All kinds of things going on. Brian, how are you doing, brother? Turks.
Great. Thanks, Joe.
Yes, man, lucky you're still out there. Just got back from Turks and Caicos. How was it?
Well, I'm unlucky to be back. I was happy there. And
Did you almost stay?
I wonder, just sometimes I wonder about Indiana, like, why are we here? Why are we here?
You know, AJ Guyton did a podcaster deal with Michael Lewis the other day. And I said, did you notice Michael's background? He had his chair set up out. He was outside in front of his pool, the mountain bike. I said, did you think that was an accident? I said, he could have done that any place he wanted to do that. Everybody else just sits in front of their computer. No. I guarantee you that's on purpose. Michael's telling you, hey, yeah, look what I got going on out here. I'm no dummy.
No, that was a huge flex by him.
Exactly.
Huge.
He was, yeah, big timing.
We're here. He's there, and he's letting us know he wanted to come back. He wanted to be a part of this, and we didn't let him. And now he's flexing by the ocean, and we're here. It's, you know what? He wins.
Yes, he does. Absolutely. Every day when he wakes up and it's going to be 78 degrees. Indiana, speaking of winning, something Indiana did tonight that they haven't been able to do on the road for almost a year, 11 months about thereabouts. It was 300 and something days, but tonight they pick up a win against a gutty Nebraska team, overmatched. They're 0-8 now, so you can't say a lot, but they played a lot of teams close. They gave Illinois a lot. Fight and whatnot, but this was a game Indiana just absolutely had to have. You cannot lose this game under no circumstances, and they didn't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if you can't win against a 6-12 team on the road, you're in big trouble. So I think the Penn State loss was a big one, and I kind of looked at this one on the calendar going, and if they can't beat Nebraska on the road, we're probably not going to win any road games. And so this was big just to they got to get one under their belt. They're young guys for the most part. And, there's a different feeling if you can win one on the road. Hopefully these guys get on the airplane and get home and they've got one under their belt. Hopefully they can take it from here and they figured something out, like some kind of recipe to win in somebody else's environment.
Yeah, another big night for Trace Jackson-Davis, of course, leading the Hoosiers, 23 points on 10 of 16 shooting, 3 of 8 at the free throw line. He's got to get that cleaned up. 12 rebounds, so there's not a lot you can complain about when a guy brings in a double-double every game after game. His free throw shooting is kind of up and down. It may cost him some time in a close game, but still a pretty damn solid performance.
Well, he's, still a pretty young guy. A lot's being asked of him. And, you go on the road and he's got a lot of pressure on him to play well. So, at the tip, I always pay attention to, his body language and how he looks, because if he doesn't have a good game, they really don't have a chance to win. And that's tough for a young guy like him. But, today he got it done, and I think he still led the team, which is important because you could just, at least I get that sense that everybody's looking to him, and if he can get comfortable in his surroundings, then we have a chance. Without that, we really don't.
Yeah, everything kind of goes through Trace Jackson when he's take 16 shots on the night, like I said, but 10 of 16. So a good night for him. Race Thompson, 12 points and 7 boards for him. Batman and Robin down there. He was 3 of 6, a very efficient night, 6 of 7 at the free throw line in his 24 minutes on the floor. So very efficient. Both these guys were extraordinarily efficient tonight.
That's our combo. I mean, they've got a 1-2 punch that I think is keeps us in the game. If both those guys show up and are efficient at all, which they were tonight, then we have a chance. Um, still it comes down to the backcourt because those guys, the front court guys, they seem to bring it every game, and they turn in stats that are worthy of a win. It really comes down to, can we get something out of the backcourt? Um, I find myself rooting for all these different guys and believing in them and hoping that's another guy's going to have a good game. And I think if we have just a little bit of production from the backcourt, we have a chance. But it's been tough.
Well, keep going. I dropped my book that had your my live reader that I have Aurora especially written down.
Do you want me to take over?
No, I just dropped my. I can't. I just don't want to drop that. It's got my live read I do for Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Man, got to always have that. But you're always free to take over. You're always in charge in my mind. I'm just here. You are always in charge, my friend.
You run this thing. I'm just here for you.
Man, I think it's the opposite. Let's see. Trying to look see if there are any questions yet. What did you see that you liked tonight, Miss Team?
Well, we weren't playing a great team, and so in a game like that, to me it seems like you come out of the locker room and you say, "Hey, let's do what we're supposed to do. Let's not focus on Nebraska and how they play and what they do." There's certain games that you just say, "Hey, let's be who we are. Let's do what we do, and then see what happens." And so tonight, to me, is one of those games where my guess is Woody was challenging the team to perform to our standards and do the things that we think we need to do to win. Seems like it still gets a little tight. Like we always, I don't want to say we play to level the opponent, but a little bit, like we get up 10, 12 and looks like maybe we could make it 20 and then it's 6. And things get a little bit dicey. And maybe that's the sign of a young team. It could be.
I sent out a tweet. I'm kind of going exactly what you're saying. There have been many times, and the Wisconsin game is the one I always go back to, though, where they take a big old chunk, but then they give a nice piece of it back right before the half. And it was just under 3 minutes to go. They were up by 12, and it wasn't a minute later that lead was cut in half. And I'm like, damn, man, they go into the halftime with a 6-point lead. Fortunately, it didn't hurt them. They didn't come out and falter like I've seen them do out of the half sometimes when games are just tied. But they did not allow that to happen. They kind of reasserted themselves in this particular game. But in these bigger games going on, they've got to stop giving up those points at the half. They're just continue to give that back.
Yeah. Well, you work so hard to build a lead, and I think it's maybe a maturity thing, and maybe a maturity in the backcourt where I know I was surrounded by veteran guards when I was a younger player that, if we gave up 2 or 3 buckets in a row, they would bring the ball up the court just a little bit differently. I'm talking about Greg Graham, Damon, Chris Reynolds. Like I could feel when they dribbled the ball up the court, like it was a little bit slower, a little bit different pace. It kind of said to the rest of us, "Hey, slow it down. Let's get a bucket, and we're in good shape. We're not going to turn it over. We're going to get the shot we want." And when I watch this team, I think maybe they just keep on pushing the ball as fast as they can up the court, like there's a shot clock. I feel like that's something they're going to learn over time. That, hey, when you've given up 2 or 3 buckets in a row, let's take our time. Let's bring it up slow. Let's go to something that we know. Let's get into a position we know we're going to get a good shot. We're going to get a bucket. I think good teams get to that point where they can just, the players kind of feed off and feel one another and go, "Hey, this is one of those situations that we're on the road. The crowd's getting a little bit louder. They're getting into the game. Let's go to our bread and butter and get a bucket."
Let's see. Pete says what he's talking about Jordan Geronimo after the game. Of course, great effort off of the bench for him tonight. Let's see. 10 points on 4 of 4 from the field, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 8 rebounds, and an assist in 21 minutes. Not a bad night off the bench.
You know, he's a good energy guy. I think a great backup for our front court because he comes in. He's not a you don't have to throw him the ball in the post. He's really not that guy, but he's a guy. If I'm guessing right, that Coach Woodson is going. Let's see if he can get engaged in the game. Let's see if he can get like a tip, a rebound, a tip in, or something off the offensive glass. Maybe it's a huge block, and then the kid gets going. And now he goes from maybe you play him 10 minutes to maybe you play him like 20 minutes, and because he's got a ton of energy, and he's solid.
Absolutely. Jared thinks it's the best game that Jordan's played. We can go back down memory lane. Watching Brian play against the Fab 593. He was at that game. Let's see. Trace Jackson, Davis. I missed it. Did something happen to Trace Jackson at the very end of the game? I missed it.
They took him out. It looked like he was limping when he left the court. He fell on his back. He fell down it looked like a foul and maybe hurt his lower back. But yeah, I'm intrigued by the guy that wants to talk about me. Let's talk more about me.
Always, man. Heck yeah. He's not the only one. Let's see. There was another one. You're his absolute favorite.
Thanks, Doug.
Let's see.
Okay,
there you go.
Let's not talk about me.
You didn't see this? He loves that they beat Nebraska, but Brad freaking Evans is here, man. He's fanboying out, he said. There's a
Jim
fan.
Harbaugh?
Well, it's not, yeah. I'm gonna guess it's not the real Jim Harbaugh, but
well, it looks like him.
It does have a striking resemblance. You're right. So
he's always been a huge fan of mine. I know that.
Well, you did it first.
That's not Jim Harbaugh.
I don't know. The rotations have been a big question for people going into this game. The starting lineups staying away, and then the other night when Mike took all the 5 out at the same time, they gave everything back again. Tonight, a little bit different, staggered that. There was I know 2 starters in when the bigs were on the bench getting some good minutes of rest, and it seemed to work a lot better. Mike Woodson seems to be getting a little bit better at his rotations and figuring out who he's got to bring in and when to bring in and who he can count on, though. Part of that's who he can count on tonight. Jordan Geronimo was that guy, and Trey Galloway.
You know what? I don't think that's as easy as it looks. It's easy for us, I think, to sit and watch a game and kind of nitpick what's going on. But he watches these guys all week, and they rehash all the game film. I don't know about you, Jim, but I'm not watching game film on these games.
And I'm not in practice. That's what I keep telling everybody every day.
Right.
I'm not in practice, guys.
No. So I'm not doing either one. I'm not at practice, and I'm not rehashing game film. He knows what he's seeing. And, there's that other piece that everyone used to talk about Coach Knight. There was guys in the doghouse. And there's something to that. It was probably less of a doghouse and more of who did not bring it to practice this week. So, I think my guess is that Coach Woodson's similar to Coach Knight in that if he senses that you weren't ready and you're not ready to play, that he's not going to play you as much. So, again, I'm like you. I don't know who's performing in practice and who's not, but I'm guessing that dictates who gets minutes.
It's kind of how I've always thought, even though I didn't even play for him or anyone like that. It's the same way it's been anyone I ever played for. But if you're on the court or on the field, it's because you earned your way or they thought you could help. It's the same way with it. I hate to bring this up, but with Christian Lander. I keep seeing people, why isn't Lander playing? Why are you asking me? There's a reason. If they thought that he should be out there, he'd be out there. He's a freshman. Let him be a freshman. Let him learn. Stop pushing him. He was brought up too early. He was a 17-year-old kid, and just let him If they think he should be on the court, I'm pretty sure he'll be on the court.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We've got a great fan base that I went on a podcast, I don't know, a month ago with some guys, and I was pretty honest about how I felt about what I'd seen, and you get blasted pretty hard. He's a guy that I kind of feel bad for. I think he got bad guidance, and probably should have hung around high school and been Mr. Basketball. That's a huge accomplishment in the state of Indiana, and it lives on forever and ever. And he ended up coming to campus and not playing a lot of minutes. And I don't know. I feel like he got some bad advice. I'm rooting for him. He comes off as a really nice kid. And right now, he must not be ready to play at this level. Coach Woodson's going to put his best people on the court for sure. There's no playing favorites in his position at this level. You're going to play the guys that you think can help you win, and he's not on the court. So that, to me, that means he's not ready to play.
Exactly. That's exactly what I tell. Anytime it's brought up, it's exactly what I say, and I don't know why people continue to do it. Just chill, relax, let it go. Let's see. Yes, Cheryl, he's all right. She hopes he's all right. She's not talking about you, Brian. She's talking about Trace Jackson Davis.
Hey, I don't know if I'm okay or not.
Well, you could be.
I've been on vacation for a week. I had a lot of fun.
You got to come back and get reacclimated. No, you got to get reacclimated to life.
Life has been hard. I've only been home for 24 hours, and I don't feel right. She could be talking about me. I don't know. I'm fine though.
I think she probably is. Cheryl Sizemore, she's great. She's actually one of our wonderful sponsors, Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Realty, Indy Home Pros, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. If you need a house in Indianapolis, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm not 100%, but I think I'm okay.
Let's see. Ed Briggs, maybe he was talking about you. He said he had an ice bag on his back after the game. May have been talking about Trace Jackson Davis, but Jared said he was undercut, had an ice pack. Yeah. No, he didn't. No, he didn't miss your messages. I made sure he saw them. Trust me, Jim. Jim, making sure that you didn't miss your.
Is that fake Jim?
Yes. Yeah. Let's just call him. Exactly. The big boys are getting better. How about Race Thompson? You talk a guy that just shows up day in, day out, game in, game out with the same game. I mean, there's no question he is without doubt the absolute most consistent player on that team. I guess maybe you should say Trace Jackson Davis because he does it at a higher level. But Race is, man, you can just count on Race Thompson. And that's hard to know that you have a guy that you can count on every damn game, and he's there every damn game.
Well, I like guys like that. You don't run plays for him. You just don't. There's no set that's all about, Race Thompson. But he's going to give you 10 and 7 or 8 rebounds. And that's when you think about a Big Ten game and some of these low-scoring games, 10 and 8 is a really nice solid to have in your back pocket. So I agree with you. He's going to give it to you, and maybe it's 14 and 6, and then maybe it's 16 and 10. But the guy comes to play. He's got really good energy, and it seems like he's a leader of that team in a lot of ways. Guys respond to him. Guys huddle around him. I'm a big fan, and I think he's a huge part of our team.
Let's see. Ed asked a question. Brian, were you ever in Coach Knight's doghouse? Huh. Let's go to the video.
You got a video?
Well, I guess that answers that question. I was prepared, man. That could not have been any more perfect.
Wow. We had a little video.
How about that? That was nice.
Well, I carry
that with me. That stays in my phone at all times.
I don't know about
that popped up one day, and I love that. I'm like, oh my God, that is just hilarious, and I keep it with me all the time.
It's a good one.
It does, and it doesn't even matter who. It just makes me start laughing. It could be Brian anybody too. It doesn't even matter at this point. It just makes me laugh.
He was so good. I loved playing for him so much. But he, you know, if you played hard and you were honest with the way you played, you make mistakes. He could stop the film and call you out, and you're in the wrong position every day. I always just try to kind of be honest about it and own my mistakes and look them in the eye and also try to have a little bit of an attitude like, yeah,
Michael
man, I,
Lewis.
I didn't I didn't mean to mess up. I'm trying to do what you want me to do. And he always kind of, he was always good with me. Yeah, I don't know if I was ever in his doghouse. I never got benched. He never took me out of a game necessarily and sat me on the bench and didn't let me back in. But in practice, he gave it to me a
Well, that's
lot.
because he could in practice without hurting him and not hurting the team. That's when
He
he could
gave it
do
to
it.
me. I took it. Hey, you take it and move on.
Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
That's right.
Look up smooth in the dictionary, and there's a picture of Brian Evans shooting a wing 3-point shot. There you
Wow.
go.
Jim Harbaugh is my number one guy. I love him.
I need to, I know what it takes to get you back on the show. I'll just say we're talking about you tonight.
That's right.
That's it. We're not doing the game. We're just talking about Brian.
That's all we want to do.
There you go. Let's see. Nebraska is the worst team they've seen in years for Bill Smith. I don't know if they're that bad, but I will say that Fred Hoiberg is probably in his last season.
You think so?
I gotta, you gotta say yes. I mean, they're just not, they're just not making any progress. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy to do that at Nebraska, but they're just not making any progress. I mean, what are they? They're 5-40, 5-41 now. I think in the Big Ten under Fred Hoiberg. That's an ugly, ugly number, and it's not getting any prettier because he's 0-8 this year in the league.
So Fred's an old friend of mine, similar age and all that kind of stuff. And when he was with the Pacers, I used to train and work out with him a little bit. He's a phenomenal guy.
Yeah, he seems like a
And
great guy.
yeah, he is. And when Tim Miles was there, and remember they were ranked at one point in time. They were a top 20 team, maybe short lived, but they were. And I remember thinking, this guy, and I didn't know Tim Miles. I don't know that name or
Michael
where he
Lewis
came
was there.
from. Well, I knew that, but I also thought, man, that's really good work because to be a top 20 team midway through the Big Ten season at Nebraska, I remember thinking that's a big deal. And now that Fred's there, we know he's good. I mean, he did it at a high level at Ohio State or Iowa State. He's a good coach, but I think it reminds me of Indiana football. You're up against so many good teams. As at Nebraska in basketball, man, it's just a big hurdle to get over. So I'm a
Because
fan
they
of
come
Fred.
into the league, were not a part of the Big Ten, and so when you
Yeah,
come into a league like the Big Ten, man, that's
it is. It's
not
tough.
the beginners league.
No, and maybe it's not maybe this isn't going to end well for him. I root for him, not tonight, but I do root for Fred. I hope he can figure it out. And recruiting nowadays is so much different. I don't know the first thing about it, but I want to see him do well. He's just an excellent guy,
He
great
just
guy.
needs to go visit. What's the guy up there in Omaha that has all the money in the world? Gosh
Um,
darn it!
I think you're talking about
Yeah, the
Berkshire.
greatest. Yes, Berkshire, Mr. Berkshire. Just go down there and get some NIL money. That would take care of that in a heartbeat.
I'm guessing he's knocking on that door of Warren Buffett,
Yeah.
trying to get him to answer. But you know what? You're right. I mean, the game has changed. The whole NIL thing brings a whole new element in that I'm unfamiliar with. But um, they're huge in football. They're huge in volleyball. I don't know if you're aware of that, but their volleyball program is second to none.
Yep.
And
Wrestling.
they get 10,000 fans per game, yet they get 5,000 in men's basketball. So it's a, I don't know much about their athletics other than that, but that makes it hard when you're the third or fourth fiddle, which I think they are right now.
When yes, especially when it's the second biggest sport in the conference, and it's the fourth or fifth biggest sport for you. Cindy Housechild said she'll talk about you, Mr. Evans.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom. 333. Shell Sizemore. You're okay, Brian. She remembers watching you play too. How could you forget him?
Cheryl, you must be old.
Oh, you can't say that. Old like you and me.
Yep. Yep.
Brian, let's see. We're not even doing the post game show now. He wanted to, Brian, please tell me some of the trash talk when you beat the U of L in the '93 tournament. Huh.
Okay. So Calvert was talking most of the trash, which was rare for him. I
Really?
broke my thumb in that game, Jim. I broke my thumb in that game. I'm not Coyle, Harbaugh. I'm talking to Harbaugh. I broke my right thumb and ended up being able to play against Kansas the following game. But that was an intense game. Indiana Louisville in '93. It really was. Calvert was unbelievable as usual, and we rode his coattail to victory. But he got in a shouting match with a guy named Dwayne Morton,
Yeah, I remember Dwayne Morton.
which caught us all off guard because Calvert was such a quiet player and he was fantastic. But that game, he went toe to toe, face to face, nose to nose with Dwayne Morton, which was pretty cool.
Always fun. Jennifer wants to ask about the T that TJD got. I didn't see that. I was getting this thing ready. I know he got in the face. Somebody said he got in somebody's face. I said, what do you do? One of those his yells, his big roar yells. But
Didn't see it.
yeah, he roared in front of someone's face. That's about it. So no biggie. Let's see. Here's a great question actually. Any memories of playing against any of the Woodson teams in the NBA? This is actually a great question, Tim. I'm going to give that to you. That's an awesome question.
Tim,
From New Albany.
so my second season in the NBA, I got traded to New Jersey, and John Calipari was the coach. I couldn't tell you who. Well, and we were playing Milwaukee. He was an assistant for George Karl, I believe, in Milwaukee. And I came back to our team room, and Woody was in there. It was the first time I ever met him. And I grew up a huge IU fan, so I knew him well. But I never, because he was in the NBA and coaching, I'd never met him during my time in Bloomington. And I was in there. I was in this room to jump on a treadmill because I didn't get any time in the game, so I was trying to run. And he was giving me a hard time for how hard I was working after the game, and kind of in jest. But that was the first time I ever met him.
That's crazy. Nuts. Let's see. Before I throw up another quick one, let's do a little quick reset. Do you or your partner has sleep problems, sleep apnea? You need to see our friends at Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic in Indy, right? Former dentist and IU basketball player Steve Green and former IU basketball player Brian Evans are partnering and waiting to help you and your partner get the sleep you need. It's a very compact device like a teeth whitening trays. I can personally say it works because I have it, I use it, and it's compact. You can put it in a little, I wish if I had it. It's like if you have teeth whitening trays, that's the same container. That's how big it is. And that's what they have. So if you want to mention and talk about it a little bit, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. That's awfully nice of you. Yeah, so Dr. Steve Green and I, who's 20 years my senior, played at IU for Coach Knight. He was actually Coach Knight's first recruit. He's a dentist for 35 years in Indianapolis, and so we started this company. It's called Aurora, and so we make these custom-made devices for people that snore and have sleep apnea. And ultimately what they do is they open up your airway, stop your snoring, and prevent these sleep apnea events through the course of the night. And yeah, we've got a great following. It's a new company. We're growing every day. Dr. Green is fantastic. I try to stay out of the way and do what I know how to do, and he's kind of the magician behind the scenes. But yeah, it's been good so far. So thank you for
Uh,
making mention of that, Jim.
It's easy, I'm telling you. For people that wear the CPAPs and all that, they say that they can't say that this is a replacement, but it will act ultimately a replacement. But it's something you can put in your pocket and take with you. You don't have to worry about. You can have it in, and no one. You can still hide the fact that it's even in your
That's
mouth. I
right.
mean,
Yeah,
you
we
can
do.
really
We have a
hide
lot of
it.
people that come in that are comfortable wearing a CPAP machine at night, but they travel a lot and they want to be. If they're on an airplane, they want to have one of our devices, so it's a little more discreet. We got people that are into camping, and so when you're camping, you don't have a plug-in for a CPAP. So folks that travel and camp and all that kind of stuff, they want our device. But at the same time, we don't call it a replacement for CPAP, but it certainly performs very similar. Opens your airway while you're sleeping. Anybody that doesn't have sleep apnea but snores, this is a perfect solution for them and for their bed partner who's complaining about the noise.
That's what I say on the show every day. I don't have to worry about that, but absolutely. We'll get the address up there in a second too. You can go find that their
Thanks.
location up in Indianapolis. Back to the game, Indiana now taking on a Purdue team on Thursday that they have not. There you go. Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic, 4745 Statesman Drive, Suite A, Indianapolis, Indiana. There's the phone number. We'll keep that up, but you can always get it from us on the Daily Show as well on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thursday, Indiana takes on a Purdue team in Simon Scott Assembly Hall. They have lost to them 9 straight times. Did you see anything or enough in this team in the last two games? We watched Purdue earlier today beat a tough Illinois team that was undefeated in the league. Purdue had to win that game. They lose that game, they've got no shot at winning the Big Ten. They would have dropped 3 games back.
Wow. So
But
you know what? To be honest, Jim, I'm not. I haven't paid a bunch of attention to the standings.
well,
Uh,
that's why I got to
and
fill. I fill all that stuff into you.
I didn't even see that those two teams played today.
Well, that
Uh,
was at noon because it's Martin Luther King Day, a holiday. It caught a lot of people off guard, and it was at noon, and I think that game ended up going to 2 overtimes.
did it
Yeah, it
really?
was a
And
battle. I
Illinois
mean,
won.
no, Purdue ended up winning.
Well, I don't root for Purdue. Um,
Dude, they've got Yao Ming too.
I know they
He
got big
Zach Edey
bodies.
is Yao. No, he's Yao Ming too. I was watching that game and I'm like, forget about trying to rebound. If he's behind you, you have to just shove him back. You have to just take him out of the play and hope somebody else gets the rebound for you. Forget about rebounding. You have to take yourself. You have to sacrifice. To me, I think you have to sacrifice yourself and get him the hell out of there. Because other than that, he just stands over top of people, over the top. And he's just tipping balls in, whatever, rebounding. It's going back to Purdue always has these 7-foot guys, and um,
Yeah, he's not your average big guy. He's talented. He can move his feet. Late last season, I remember watching him going, "This guy," because I know that Matt can develop guys and develop talent, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's gonna be really good," because I know they're gonna work with him all summer, and he seemed like a kid that was committed to the craft and getting better, that's a tough combo. So I knew he was gonna be good. Um, and they got the is it Williams, another big guy.
Joe
It's
Travion
a
Williams.
huge. I mean, it's a huge challenge. I just, in my heart, I believe that with Purdue coming to town, the students being back in town from spring or from Christmas break, I just want to believe that it's going to be impossible for Purdue to win. Although I thought it would have been impossible when Coach Knight came back to the first game and we lost that game to Purdue. So I don't know. I'm I plan on being there. I'm gonna be super excited to be in the building, and I you know I Indiana's not supposed to lose to Purdue at home. We'll see what happens.
Nope. We certainly hope that they don't, but that happens on Thursday. They'll get back from two road games in time to do that. What have you seen? Have you seen this team grow? How much growth from the beginning of the season until now, where they are? Has there been enough? Are they where they should be? Where you expected them to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'm a super harsh critic of where they're at today. I just look at their effort, and are these guys playing together, and are they giving all they got? Early in the season there was a lot of just turnovers and kind of loosey goosey, you know, guys just giving the ball away. That's what drives me the craziest is watching guys just throw the ball away and not take care of it. I think they've gotten better at that. I do like the camaraderie from where I sit looks good. I mean, I think they like each other and play for each other. I think they love their coach, which is huge. He he's got there's something about Coach Woodson that draws these guys in. I mean, I think they like playing for him, which is a big deal. And I think they're going to keep getting better. This is not they're not perfect. They're not going to be. I think he's going to continue to bring in guys that kind of fit his style of play. He had to do everything he could to retain guys on the roster and then do the best he can with those guys. And this is what we're watching. It's not perfect, but I think the guys like playing for him and they're playing
Oh, without
hard.
question. Yeah, without question. You can just see it across the team. I mean, and that's a team that is a hodgepodge of guys
Yeah.
from bringing in transfers and this and that. So there's no question they seem to enjoy each other. I've not even heard of dissension, anything like that.
Well,
Any pro-
look at the Lakers. I mean, it's very similar. They got good players. They got a great coach, Frank, who's a guy that I really enjoy and like and think he's doing a great job. But even with LeBron and some of the All Stars they have, when you have a roster full of new people that really haven't played much together, it's not easy. And so you watch them struggle. They've got a ton of talent, but they're still struggling to put it together. To me, that's similar to what we've got. We're not Hall of Famers or All Stars, but it's a lot of new bodies in the same lineup and a new coaching staff. That doesn't happen. That stuff's not going to click overnight. So I mean, they're hanging in there. The fact that it's their first road win is January 17th. That's not great, but maybe they go on a little run here and win some games.
Absolutely. Pete says the only thing that can't be changed is the outside shooting. It's not very good. It's been really inconsistent. It was kind of bad tonight. But they've been shooting it a lot better. I mean, they've been averaging, I think, 38% from behind the 3-point line, and that's about as good as you're going to get from anybody.
So I don't pay a ton of attention to their stats. I mean, the games I've watched, I don't feel like we've shot it well, but I think we have guys that can shoot it. So, between Stewart, I don't know, handful of guys, I think we could go on a little stretch where we're knocking down shots. I mean, and the Big Ten, if you can string together 2 or 3 games where you get hot from 3, you can win those games. And we could put ourselves in a position where in that top, third of the Big Ten. And I think to me this year, that's got to be the goal, is to be in that top third of the Big Ten and kind of hang in there and get a Big Ten or get a tournament appearance. I don't know how much more as a fan we can root for than that.
Balin, I didn't see your original question, but it had to do with the Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. You'll have to just reach out to them there. I think you were asking if it had to they do have to be fitted for it, but it's just like, it's exactly like teeth whitening trays. That's how they fit you. It's like they make a set of trays, and that's basically it. that's the only way that you're fitted for it, in essence. So, but just reach out to Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic, but we'll have that information up for you again.
Balin, go to aurorasleep.com, make an appointment, come
And
see
Brian
us.
will make sure that
Take our
he's there
test.
on the day when you come.
That's right. I'll be there.
That's right.
I'm there every day.
Jennifer says, first road game since February 2021. Win. Yeah. Well, that's like I said. It was nearly a year. That's crazy. Now, part of that's because they play, 14 freaking home games to open the season usually. And if it's not a home game, it's a neutral site game. You don't play any road games hardly anymore. But, well, man, I don't want to keep you all night. I appreciate you so much.
No sweat, man.
I hope that the people reach out to Aurora Special Sleep Clinic, because I'm telling you from personal experience, it works. It works. It works. So reach out to those guys for that. And hopefully we can get Brian back on again during the season to do this, because I always have a blast with him on here. He's always fun to talk to. We appreciate you, man. You didn't have Joe this time. Wonder where Joe was.
Hey, yeah, it's funny that you remember that. So Joe.
Oh, I'd never forget that.
And we brought him in as a prop. He was a prop.
Yeah.
But he did a good job.
It was awesome.
You remember that. Hey,
of
thank
course.
you for plugging Aurora and putting our logo in the corner. That's nice of you. I'm available anytime. Just holler.
We appreciate you, brother. Everybody loves him. Pete says he loved it. Absolutely. Thank you to everybody else. We appreciate you guys and the great folks here, of course, at Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers here in Bloomington. Make sure you stop by whenever you have a chance. Every Monday night at 7:05 with Don Fisher and Coach Mike Whitson, you can watch or catch Inside Indiana Basketball, as they'll be here for that. And they'll be back this Monday, as they were in Nebraska, of course, tonight, getting the win. That's going to wrap it up for us here tonight from Southern Stone. I'll be back tomorrow on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. What is tomorrow? Tuesday. Kevin Brockway, Mike DeCourcy, Chronic Hoosier. We'll be there for all of that. Thanks to all of you guys. Without you, there's no reason for us to be here. We appreciate you guys so much. Until tomorrow morning, and thanks to John, the producer. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.